What is up, party people? We're back. You can hear my dog whining potentially because he wants to play with my cat and I will not let him. So he is upset. Because he's also supposed to be sleeping because it's 10:30. It's a bedtime. But he doesn't want to accept that either. Okay. Few things. I finally linked my TikTok and my Lemonade account in. I have them linked in the description as well as in like my, I think it's like your bio for YouTube. I finally did that. I also set up a link on Ko-Fi to do like personal readings. So if you're interested in that, that is available. I have a couple of different ones available. I have like a general reading, which you can kind of ask about anything. I have mini readings, love readings, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in that, you can find the link like on my about info, and then also like linked in the description of the videos. I know there's like a lot going on, but my heating pad, like, it keeps me warm, it keeps me nice, it keeps me toasty. However, it's like, let me clear out my background a little bit because I've been actually working from my bed pretty much all day. I've been working on, I had about 14 saved videos that I was doing like descriptions for and stuff like that. Again, a lot of my content is not as put together as I would like it to be, but to be fair, it was just the beginning. Like, I was just starting. I didn't even have a group yet. I didn't even know what I was doing. I still don't. I'm still just figuring it out. But yeah, so if it's chaotic and messy, I implore you to stick with me because I do get better. Here, this is proof I do get better. I don't really have anything else to say at the moment. When I remember what I'm trying to say, I will be back with y'all. I promise. I promise you. I figured it out. Okay, so the last couple days I've been doing, like my channeled readings have been pick a cards, which is all good and fine or whatever. But there was a time when I was kind of curious about, which is what I needed actually. The pick a cards is what I needed to kind of keep me structured, kind of keep me going with in a particular direction. However, there was a time, and I'm still kind of figuring out, you know, exactly how I want my channel to look. I don't know if it's gonna have a particular container, but there was a time where I was like, oh, I could tap into like, you know, soulmates, twin flame energies. That would be interesting in particular because I think everybody finds the twin flame journey to be an interesting topic. You know, if you know, you know. However, I'm not really too interested in like tying myself down to one particular like mode of channel. However, the last couple days I've been doing like the pick a card readings, and I have been channeling a very similar thread. So in the last pick a card that I did, it was actually a succession reading, and it was picking up on an energy kind of where it started to versus to where it is now. And I guess it depends on which pile you pick, kind of where you're sitting in that succession, but essentially it was like the first reading was like, it's like, you know, the part of the twin flame journey where the people meet, right? And the masculine doesn't really recognize anything, but the meeting itself actually catalyzes the feminine to start expanding and to start growing. And in the second part of the reading, the second pile of the reading, I actually don't mention the feminine really at all, except from the perspective of the reader, and not having to do with like the actual person. I'll say like the masculine energy that I was reading for, not from their perspective. I only mention them from the perspective of the reader, me. And then the third pile, and that the second pile, actually, let me stay on that for a minute. The second pile is essentially after the feminine tends to leave and stops the cycle of chasing and decides to leave and have, it's kind of like your like your stereotypical like standard kind of construct of like what the twin flame journey is. You know, they meet, the feminine catalyzes, the masculine typically stays stuck. Sometimes you'll go through these like periods of running and chasing, just depending on, you know, where both of you are in that journey. And it's usually the feminine's job to kind of step out of that dynamic, because typically they're the one that gets catalyzed first and they're the one that recognizes the connection first. So it's really their job to, a lot of times, to step away from the dynamic itself and to stop chasing where the runner runs. And so that's kind of what happens in that second pile, is where like the feminine isn't mentioned because the feminine's not there. The feminine has stepped away and the masculine is kind of just in his head. It doesn't have to be a man. I'm just talking in terms of energy. I'm giving pronouns to the energy itself. But kind of in their head about like where they want to go. So they're starting to wake up is kind of where they're at in that second pile, like that part of their journey. They're starting to wake up. And then in the third pile, the masculine has actually recognized the feminine for who she is and is actively, and it's not like a chasing, but is actively manifesting and embodying and trying to figure out, you know, how do I become the type of person that, you know, how do I embody the emperor? How do I become the emperor to her feminine? Not just for her, but because this is what I want. Like, I've seen it, I've opened my eyes, I've seen it, I've realized that I can step out of the energy that I was in, and they're actively working towards union, where the feminine is kind of like if there was a fourth pile, the feminine would have been in the fourth pile. And I was thinking about it in terms of like timelines, right? So like each pile is its own separate timeline. And if we're thinking about it as timelines, then pile 4, if there were a pile 4, is where the feminine would be, and she's just chilling. She's just chilling. She is embodying her true awakened, just embodying who, you know, she is, and just sitting in that energy and just like showing up every day. And the masculine is in pile 3, timeline 3, trying to figure out like, okay, well, if they're doing it, I should be able to do it too. you know, and they're still sorting through some like old beliefs, and as the feminine is too, but they're both very much so on their healing journey. And I'm feeling as though, like, I just get the feeling like they're about to intersect. And I've heard that a few times, is that they're about to intersect. And I know this is kind of like a long opening, long tangent type of thing. But I hope you stuck with me. I hope those of you who did stick with me are here now, because that's kind of the energy that I want to get into. That's kind of the energy that I want to read for today. Kind of that twin flame energies, the ones who are actively aligning themselves with like union, right? Because even if we think about this, even in the way that I've talked about it, I don't think the feminine is any better or any worse than the masculine. The feminine just did it first, right? Like, I don't think she's necessarily further along or anything like that. I think that she is just more content in it. She has been doing it first. She did it first. She's been doing it longer, so she's more content in the energy. She's more actually like settled in to the energy, right? And yeah, so she's more settled into the energy, and she's kind of like every day showing up and actively exploring what that is and what that means to her, which is making her more magnetic, which is making the masculine want to do more, work harder, be more to get there. Like, and I got the sense from the reason I really wanted to bring this up, because I mentioned the pick a cards initially. So that was the one pick a card. So all three piles, like the succession of timelines, right? But even in the pick a pile reading that I did before that, pile 3 also had the same like energetic signature. So I feel like I do quite frequently tap in to that sort of like a collective of divine feminines and divine masculines who are actively working towards union together. So that's something that I actually want to tap into and look into. Which is what we're gonna do today. And it's going to be I might do this like the opposite way, but for now it's going to be a divine masculine message to the divine feminine. What does the divine masculine want to say to you? What does the divine masculine want you to know at this time? So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I know that was a very winded way to get there. I just think it's, I don't know. Very winded way to get there, but we got there nonetheless. So give me just a minute here to kind of clear the energy. Not clear the energy, not really. But just kind of reset. Grab my cards. Just get set, okay? Just give me a minute. Okay. So I was getting set, and I was kind of trying to figure out how I wanted to do this reading, and I happened to look down. There's this oracle deck that I was actually going to use in my pick a card readings the other day, and I didn't end up doing it. However, I was looking down at the deck because they're all kind of stacked in front of me, and I realized that I was like, oh, there's a card flipped up right in the deck. And so I went to look at it, and it was actually 3 separate cards. So the first card was the Raven, and this says, listen to your intuition to receive a message from the world of spirit. butterfly. Delight in life and embrace change as the source of your creativity. And frog, which is adapt and survive by accepting the inevitable and seizing potential. And this is from my Animal Messages Oracle deck. There is a little bit more in the book that I'll read here, but I thought it was interesting too because I pulled the deck up where these were flipped upright, right? And the underlying energy is Scorpion. And this says, in a new relationship, passion offers the challenge of ecstasy and pain. So I thought that was really interesting, considering the context of what I wanted to speak on, and what I had been talking about with the masculine going through this rapid change and this rapid evolution, essentially trying to catch up to the feminine. Both the feminine and the masculine are actually, I think the feminine's change has slowed down just a small amount, and not so much that it's slowed down, but it's like she has kind of adjusted to the speed of the energy in which she, or like the speed of which she can't speak, the speed in which she's evolving. She's adjusted to it, so it actually doesn't feel like major shift after major shift after major shift, where like a lot of my videos, I don't think a lot of them I even have posted at this time, the time that I'm actually filming this video. They might be out by the time that I film, or by the time that I post this video, but if not, because I should have somewhere around 20. If I don't have somewhere around 20 videos when y'all are watching this, then you haven't seen it yet. But it's a lot. I talk a lot about rapid shifts, and it is the end of the year, and I've been hearing this a lot from like even readers that I watch myself, just a lot of massive shifts, a lot of karmic cycles ending, things of that nature. But I think it's very interesting, because like I said, the feminine has kind of adjusted to moving at warp speed, and so it doesn't actually affect her in the same way. However, I feel like the masculine has just kind of hit that energy that I was channeling for the last few weeks, that feels like it feels like rapid change, like it feels like it, and it feels like they're moving very quickly, a lot of momentum. It's also, again, in pile 3 of that pick a card reading, it was a lot of momentum, and I don't even know if that one's even posted yet. Hold up. I've been trying to post it all day. Or not post it, but upload it to my channel. It goes really slow. But yeah, it's just giving me that rapid change sort of energy, and that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And then also listen to your intuition to receive a message from the world of spirit. I was saying something yesterday, something about like telepathic communication through music. I do very much feel as though this is like the pile 3 collective that I'm reading for. I think pile 3 is the same as pile 1 and pile 2, but pile 2 is not quite pile 3, but is the same as pile 1, and pile 1 is not quite pile 2 or pile 3. So that's what I see. But we're gonna tap in here. Stop my yapping for 20 minutes of yapping is crazy. I apologize. But hopefully you stuck with me. I'll put a timestamp. I'll put a timestamp. I promise. But yeah, what messages does the masculine have for the feminine? That's what my strawberry is low. Can I get clarification here? Can I get clarification? Okay. Okay. So right now, the masculine is really working on healing their wounds and letting go of the past to come into alignment, right? They're really working on healing. They're really working on deep spiritual healing, not just surface level stuff like, oh, like I had a boyfriend from the 3rd grade that did this, that, or the other thing. Like, no, like this is like deep childhood wounds. This is deep, like from birth programming that they're working on healing, working on unearthing even, and working on healing. At the bottom of this deck, the Fountain Tarot, we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. And also at the bottom of the, if I could grab it, the bottom of the Mystic Mondays Tarot, we also have the 10 of Wands in reverse, 23 on the timer. But they are actively learning or actively working on, they're actively completing large cycles, heavy cycles, things that I feel like have kind of defined their existence and things they've literally built their reality upon up into this point. I'm hearing, if you really listen, you can hear me. If you really listen, you can hear me. If you really sit still, I'm looking here at the Lovers and Temperance. And Temperance I usually take as, sometimes I read it as like space, sometimes I read it as like divine timing. I read the Lovers a lot of time as alignment. I do read it as connection as well, but I read it a lot as alignment, especially if I'm feeling like there's maybe like an energetic alignment, but a 3D misalignment, like you're not in alignment in the 3D, or you're not actively in union in the 3D. This is giving like spiritually we're aligned. Like how I was talking about telepathic messages, energetically I feel as though y'all are aligned. And they actually sat right on top of this Raven card here, the one that says listen to your intuition to receive a message from the spirit, from the world of spirit. It's giving like, if you listen you can hear me. Pay attention and you'll see me. Pay attention and you'll feel me. I'm right here. So right now they're wanting right now they also recognize you as the feminine are also doing a lot of work at this time. They're seeing you guys, both of you, together. Again, they're seeing you very energetically aligned, right? Doing the work to become aligned. They're seeing you guys as the king and queen of swords here. Making this decision, making the moves, being clear, concise, and moving swiftly in everything that you do. Like they see that this is how you're going about getting, this is the Fool here. They see that, they recognize that you both are taking this leap towards each other, this leap towards your long-term stability, your new, our fresh start. And they also recognize that it has not been easy. You're juggling a lot right now. There's a lot of stuff that you're kind of sorting through. There's a lot of stuff that you're putting into motion. There's a lot trying to come into fruition for you at this time. It's almost like you're sorting through all of this, all of your pentacles, all of your seeds, and you're trying to find the ones that align the most with this. Because throughout the years, throughout your life, throughout your lives, you have both planted many seeds in your garden, right? You both planted many, many seeds in your gardens. And now is the time to be decisive, to weed out the ones that are not aligned with this timeline, not aligned with where you're about to meet. Here, I accidentally keep putting this up, but yeah, like here, the things that are not aligned with this new beginning, with this timeline, y'all are actively sorting through the garden, sorting through the seeds, making those swift cuts. They recognize that you're doing this too. They recognize that you guys are both in the same energy. Y'all are both mirroring each other. It's giving divine counterpart. But they recognize that you're both kind of going through this, and you're both trying to align yourselves specifically with this, right? And not like, it's not giving that you, the divine feminine or the divine masculine, are trying to align with each other. It's feeling like you're trying to align with yourselves, and naturally you are aligning with each other. You're aligning with each other. Give me some more information here. What else does he want? her to know. What else does he want her to know? There may have been some situations here where it's like on both ends, like I'm hearing like vices, toxic, like even toxic, like third party situations. It's so funny. You saw how much I shuffled. Literally. The 10 of Wands in reverse on the bottom of the deck. That's kind of the overall energy for the entire reading. So I'm hearing that there's this thing, I think I've mentioned it in a video before, but there's this thing that I've heard, and it's basically about how when you it was a TikTok I saw, I think a small creator, but she was saying how like you'd be surprised how much stuff that's in your control is actually keeping you stuck from like being aligned with what you want. And she was specifically, the reason it resonated so heavily with me is that she was specifically talking about smoking. Now, if you don't know, I used to smoke. I used to vape. And she was saying like, she's like, you might be smoking, and who knows, like your soulmate might have asthma, and the reason they haven't come in yet is because you haven't put the vape down or the cigarettes down or whatever. Like you're not aligned with them because you're still holding on to this old habit. That's what I'm getting here, is like those habits, those toxic habits, like habits that weren't necessarily good for you, that were misaligned with your person, with your purpose, those things that you were still holding on to, those vices, those addictions, you're both actively cutting those out. You're both actively walking away. You're both actively moving away from those energies that don't serve you, that don't align with, like, okay, so with that TikTok, what I was saying specifically is that the reason why that message in particular resonated with me is because I quit vaping like years ago, and then I started again for some reason, and then I just like I wanted to quit, but like I never really put the effort behind it. But I had started feeling like it was like weighing me down, and I kept hearing like you have to quit, you have to quit. Like I kept getting that message for myself, and I was like, I know I have to quit. Like this is something that I know I need to do. And it was so funny that she had said like, oh, maybe your soulmate is like asthmatic, and that's why like they haven't come in, because you haven't put the vape down. I actually ended up meeting someone that I really, really liked, and like I'm not gonna get into the details, I'm not gonna give y'all all my business, but I ended up meeting somebody, and I still vaped. They knew I vaped, but they'd never see me vaped, and I didn't want them to see me vape, right? Like that was not something that I wanted them to see of me. And I remembered when I started feeling more and more drawn to them all the time. And they had asthma. They had really, really bad asthma. They have really, really bad asthma. And I remember the more I was drawn to them, the more I was like, I have to quit. Like I can't imagine me getting close to this person, or me even having like a friendship or anything with this person, any sort of relationship with this person, if I'm still vaping. Because what am I gonna do? Like leave every how many minutes to go hit my vape, like away from them? That takes away the time that I get to spend with them, as well as like long term that just doesn't work. Because like if I'm addicted to a vape and I have to hit my vape all the time, like it just doesn't work. Like I can't foresee a future with us getting closer if I'm vaping. And that was kind of like the thing that like kind of like I was like, oh yeah, I have to stop vaping, obviously. And I did. Not just because they had asthma. That was a huge bonus. And that was because I was like, this is where I want my life to go. I want to be closer to this person. I want to get to know this person better. I want to spend more time with them. And in order to do that, I have to let go of this thing that I wanted to let go of anyway, that I knew I needed to let go of anyway. But that's what this is giving, is y'all are y'all are kind of, and normally, you know, you're gonna read these things as like brand new beginning, passion, all of those things. It's giving to me like impulsive, because it came out with these confirmation verb. I am so sorry. They want a passionate new beginning with you. Yes, I can see that, obviously. But it's also giving like, if I stay in this energy of wanting quick dopamine release, quick, like the quick fixes, the what is it, instant gratification of these like toxic things. Like if I keep sticking with these toxic things that are giving me instant gratification, I'm never gonna get the long-term gratification. I'm never gonna get to build this. That's where the strength comes in, is that they're actively moving away, not only from just like deep wounds that they earned in childhood or that they learned in childhood, not only from that, but from the things that they picked up, the symptoms that they picked up from those wounds. So whether that's vaping, whether that's, you know, overeating, whether that's, you know, just they're learning how to take care of themselves, how to care for their vessel. And moving away from those toxic kind of nasty habits. I also got these 3 cards, which is the 6 of Wands. I really like how it's kind of focusing on these, because normally it doesn't. So the 6 of Wands, the 2 of Cups. Mind you, this was like the first deck I ever bought for myself, so I'm like really fond of this particular card, because around the time that I bought this deck for myself was around the time that I learned about twin flames and and the Empress. So what they're saying here is like, especially with those other cards as well, like they want a successful connection with you. They also are wondering, like, no, they recognize you as the Empress. They see you as the Empress. They recognize the connection. They recognize the depth of it. They recognize the importance, so much so that they're willing to completely rewrite their story, completely change their habits and change their lifestyle because they recognize you and they recognize that this is what I want. This is where I'll find happiness. This is where, not this is where I'll find happiness, but it's like, it's something about you and something about meeting you and experiencing you that just kind of woke them up. And it just like made them see like where they're sitting, what needs to change, what they need to move away from, you know, what things did they plant, what seeds did they plant in their garden of shit that they can't even eat, shit that never even grew, shit that they didn't even take care of, shit that they didn't take care of but they want to take care of. Like they recognize you, they recognize the connection, and they want it, and they're actively pursuing it. They're actively doing everything they can to come into alignment with self. You make them want to be in alignment with themselves. Something about you and recognizing you and seeing your potential makes them want to, like, it's almost as if they're pedestalizing you, but like they're not. Like, not in a toxic way, just in a like, I'm in awe of you, I look up to you. Like, they really idolize you and they really care deeply about your connection. I don't even know how to explain it. It's more of a feeling that I'm getting where I'm just like very warm. I'm warm in my chest, and like I feel this energy wanting to come through the my throat chakra, wanting to say something, but it's like I don't even have, like, I don't have the words to describe it. Like, words cannot describe how you make them feel, how recognizing you, how seeing you makes them feel. Words cannot describe it. And it's changed me for the better. I'm also hearing Blessed by Daniel Caesar, where he's saying, and I'm coming back home to you. I'm coming back home. I'm coming back home to you. I'm coming back home. And yes, I'm a mess, but I'm blessed to be stuck with you. Is that the one? I think so. Anyway, sorry, I didn't warm up my singing voice for that, but also got really nervous. I really don't like singing in front of people. I can never sing my best because I'm a little shaky. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's not the point. The point is, that's the song I'm hearing. That's the song I'm hearing. That's the vibe I'm getting. Yes, I'm a mess, but I'm blessed to be stuck with you. We can't be by ourselves. We always need each other. The Ten of Wands in reverse fell off the bottom of the deck in this one here, so we're just gonna let that sit out, huh? What else? What else does... anything else that the Divine Masculine wants to say to the Feminine, wants them to know? Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry, my hips are hurting. I'm hearing I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what? Sorry for what? Sorry for what? For the way it ended. I'm sorry for the way it ended. They're sorry for the way something ended, but I'm definitely reading for a collective who is not in communication, no contact with their divine counterpart. I'm just getting, like, I'm so sorry for the way that it ended. And they can't stop thinking about how when it ended, they're dwelling on the fact, they're dwelling on how you ended it. Like, they're in awe of how you walked away. Like, instead of train, horn, instead of, it keeps going, sorry. It's actually getting louder. Instead of sitting in their chaos and letting it be chaotic in that pile one energy, instead of letting them hurt you, and instead of actually even causing, like, I don't know, there's something about the way you walked away from it that just was really mature. Ooh. Really, let me set this down here quick. It was really mature, and it was really rooted and grounded in your truth. Like, it also, not only were you acting out of clarity, it gave them clarity to the point where they, not clarity, but like, it did give them clarity in a sense. It did give them clarity that they were kind of the problem, I think. It gave them clarity. It was kind of, it was kind of a wake-up call for them. But they can't stop thinking about it, and they can't stop thinking about how it ended, how you acted, how they acted towards you. Four of Cups here. Like, just ruminating on it. Like, just really being in an energy of, like, man, like, I can't believe my divine feminine, like, left like that, just so poised, so confident, like, so mature, just like she didn't let me drag her down, and she left when she knew it was time. And it really revealed to him, like, this ending is also too, I don't know if I grabbed more cards, also too, on the bottom of this deck we have Death. And then Death actually came out. Sorry. Death actually came out with when I was pulling cards earlier. But the way this ended, it made them see, like, it cleared up for them where they were stuck, where they were being manipulative, where they were self-sabotaging, where they weren't being honest. It made a lot of things clear for them. And instead of sitting, because we do have the Six of Swords out here twice. We have a lot of the same cards out here. But instead of sitting in this energy. Your energy was this. Instead of sitting in this where they were, not moving from the rough waters and actually just sitting in it, ruminating in it, like that's where they were, that's what they were doing. You decided to leave. They were stuck. You decided to leave. And that made them see, like, oh my God, I'm the problem. Like, am I the problem? I don't think I'm the problem. Am I the villain? I don't think I'm the villain. No, it made them see, like, oh, like my behavior was not okay. Which then enter judgment, the hermit, and strength. It made them have to go within. It really forced them to go within. Because here they're sitting in the chaos, they're sitting in the rough waters, the big waves that are knocking them here, there, and everywhere. They're sitting in it. And they had to take refuge within themselves. They couldn't ignore it anymore. They couldn't ignore the storm. They couldn't just let the storm knock them every which way. They had to go within for shelter. They had to go within themselves for shelter. And that took a lot because they were actually scared. They were actually scared to go within, but they could not ignore the call anymore. They couldn't ignore it. It feels like maybe in the past, there were others who tried to get them to see, who tried to get them to answer the call. And nothing ever worked. Nothing ever changed. Like, there were others who tried to get them to face their judgment, to answer the call here, to own up and look within and see, you know, where the storm was actually coming from, right? They had to take refuge in the eye of the storm, which took a lot of strength. It took a lot of strength to go within, because not only did they have to navigate the storm to get there, they had to go through the outside of the storm to get there, but they were also scared that when they got there, there wouldn't be an eye. Like, it was just gonna be the storm all the way through. They really didn't know if they were gonna come out the other side, but they saw you do it. They saw you do it. They saw you 52 on the timer there. But they saw you do it. They saw you change. They saw you leave. They saw you actively pursue something different and something better for yourself. And that inspired them. It showed them, like, it was like, oh, I can't ignore this anymore because Divine Feminine did this. Like, it's a matter of, like, I either do it or I get left behind, and I have to do it because, like, if Divine Feminine left, the one person who is, like, my person, that is exactly who I imagine for myself. That is exactly, like, that is my manifestation. This is exactly what I've asked for. They are exactly what I asked for. And I couldn't accept it. And they didn't stay. If I don't work on myself, no one's gonna stay. If they are not the exact answer to all of my prayers, and not even they stayed to put up with my bullshit, I have to go within and I have to deal with this. Like, you walking away was so loud, was so pivotal for them. It completely changed their life. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up here, but any last words, Divine Masculine? Anything you want the Divine Feminine to know before I wrap this up here? They may have there is, for some of you, there may have been some sort of third party, potentially a third party, some potentially like even just like old systems, old family systems, things that were getting in the way, like other connections. Not that they were bad, but if there was any sort of indecision between you and another party, they're saying here that it's no longer even a choice. It's no longer a choice. It never was a choice, but it's no longer a choice. If I ever made you feel like an option, yeah. If there was ever a situation that made you feel like an option, I'm done with that, is what I'm hearing. I'm done with that. They're no longer putting in the energy and the effort for this any other situations that just anything that just doesn't align. Like, it's like, you know, in gardening when there's like companion plants and things like that, it's almost like if this, it's like they're kind of looking at the options and looking at the things in their life and around them, and they're like, oh, if like this seed isn't gonna make a good companion plant for like collective and like where I'm going with collective with divine feminine, then I'm not planting it in my garden. Like, I don't want it. I'm not gonna put in the work. I'm not gonna put in the effort for something that doesn't align. They're a lot more tapped in to their intuition. A lot more tapped into their intuition. You are also, I'm hearing, meet me in the 5D. Meet me in the dream state. We'll discuss there. I'm not saying that. Anyway, that is all I've got for you, Divine Feminine. Divine Masculine, thank you so much for letting me tap into your energy. Divine Feminine, thank you so much for letting me tap into your energy as well. I really enjoyed doing this reading for you. If you guys would like more readings like this, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in booking a personal reading with me, that will be linked in the description below, as well as any other social media that I have. But yeah, this is all I have for you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and yeah.